Coffee is more than just a drink. It's a ritual, a comfort, and for many Americans, the fuel that powers the start of each day. The rich aroma that fills the kitchen, the steam rising from a freshly poured cup, and that very first sip of smooth, bold flavor are experiences millions can't imagine living without. But have you ever stopped to think about where that instant cup of coffee comes from? The one you grab during a busy morning before work, or the one you stir into hot water for a quick pick-me-up? Chances are, it came from the world's biggest instant coffee brand, Nescafé. With annual sales surpassing $11.6 billion in 2023, this powerhouse holds the #1 market share in instant coffee worldwide. In fact, 1 out of every 7 cups of coffee consumed on the planet is made using Nescafé. That's an astonishing figure, and it begs the question: what exactly makes Nescafé so successful, and how do they turn simple coffee beans into the convenient powder millions of us reach for every day? The story of Nescafé stretches back nearly a century and begins in a time of global crisis. In the early 1930s, during the Great Depression, Brazil found itself overwhelmed with a massive surplus of coffee beans. Prices plummeted, farmers struggled, and much of the harvest risked going to waste. That's when Nestlé, a prominent food company already making a name for itself in Europe, stepped in. They were tasked with creating a product that could preserve coffee beans while also making preparation simple for consumers. The challenge was handed to a Swiss chemist named Max Morgenthaler, whose job was nothing short of revolutionary: find a way to deliver a full-flavored cup of coffee that could be made instantly by just adding water. After years of experimentation, the solution arrived. On April 1, 1938, Nescafé was officially launched in Switzerland, forever changing the way the world consumes coffee. At first, the new product was met with curiosity rather than wild enthusiasm. But history was about to intervene. With the outbreak of World War II, Nescafé suddenly became a staple among soldiers. Easy to carry, quick to prepare, and a comforting reminder of home, Nescafé was included in military rations and quickly spread across Europe and beyond. For many soldiers, those small tins of instant coffee were a lifeline during uncertain times. By the end of the war, its popularity had exploded, and Nescafé had firmly cemented itself as the global symbol of convenience coffee. Fast forward to today and the brand is still thriving. Walk into any grocery store, hotel breakfast buffet, or even a workplace break room, and you're likely to see that familiar red jar. So how does Nescafé manage to keep delivering consistent taste to millions of people worldwide? It all starts with the beans. Coffee is a crop that grows in a band around the equator known as the Coffee Belt, spanning countries like Brazil, Colombia, Vietnam, Ethiopia, and Indonesia. Each region produces beans with unique flavor profiles. Brazilian beans are often smooth and nutty, Ethiopian beans are floral and fruity, while Colombian beans are prized for their balanced acidity. Nescafé sources high-quality Arabica and Robusta beans from these regions, carefully selecting based on the flavor and aroma they want to achieve in the final product. The choice of beans is crucial. After all, even the most advanced technology can't create great coffee without the right raw material. Once selected, the beans head into the roasting stage, which is one of the most critical steps in the process. Roasting transforms green coffee beans into the brown aromatic ones we all recognize. For Nescafé, this means heating the beans to between 180 and 250 degrees Celsius. The exact temperature and time vary depending on the flavor they want to develop. Lighter roasts bring out more acidity and floral notes, while darker roasts enhance bitterness and body. The process is almost like an art form combined with science. Inside the roasting drums, the beans crack and expand, releasing oils that create that irresistible coffee aroma. For Nescafé, consistency is everything. No matter where you are in the world, the flavor has to remain recognizable, whether you're sipping instant coffee in New York, Tokyo, or Paris. After roasting, the beans are ground into a fine powder. Grinding is not just about breaking the beans down, it's about achieving the perfect particle size for extraction. Too coarse and the flavor won't fully release. Too fine and the coffee can become bitter. Precision machinery ensures uniform grinding, which is essential for the next stage, brewing. Here's where the magic really happens. Unlike brewing coffee at home, Nescafé's process involves large-scale extraction in specialized equipment. Roasted and ground beans are mixed with water under carefully controlled conditions, allowing all the soluble compounds, flavor, aroma, and caffeine, to be drawn out. It's essentially brewing coffee on an industrial scale. But Nescafé isn't selling liquid coffee. They need to turn that brew into something that can be easily stored, transported, and reconstituted by consumers at home. That's where two fascinating processes come into play: spray drying and freeze drying. In spray drying, the liquid coffee is sprayed into a chamber of hot air, causing the droplets to instantly dry into fine powder particles that fall to the bottom. It's quick and efficient, but some delicate aromas can be lost. Freeze drying, on the other hand, involves freezing the brewed coffee into slabs, then placing it in a vacuum chamber where ice sublimates directly into vapor, leaving behind dry granules of coffee. This method is more expensive, but it preserves more of the natural aroma and flavor. Depending on the product line, classic Nescafé, premium blends, or specialty varieties, different drying methods are used. The result is those tiny granules of instant coffee you see when you open a jar. But the process doesn't end there. Quality control is taken extremely seriously. Every batch is tested to ensure it meets the company's standards for taste, aroma, and solubility. After all, when millions of people around the world expect the same flavor every time they open a jar, consistency is non-negotiable. Once approved, the coffee is packaged in airtight jars, sachets, or tins designed to lock in freshness and aroma until the moment you add hot water. Beyond production, Nescafé's success also lies in its ability to adapt and innovate. Over the decades, the company has launched countless variations to cater to different tastes and markets. In the US, where specialty coffee culture thrives, Nescafé has introduced richer blends and premium lines that aim to compete with café-style beverages. In Asia, 3-in-1 mixes that include coffee, sugar, and creamer are incredibly popular. In Europe, freeze-dried granules dominate. The brand has even embraced sustainability, pledging to source responsibly grown coffee through its Nescafé plan, which supports farmers with training and resources to improve yields while protecting the environment. Think about the impact of that. A cup of Nescafé isn't just a morning habit. It represents a massive global network of farmers, scientists, engineers, and marketers all working together. From the hands that pick ripe coffee cherries on plantations in Colombia, to the technicians monitoring giant roasting drums in Switzerland, to the designers creating packaging that stands out on supermarket shelves, every step contributes to the experience you have when you stir those granules into hot water. And if you're wondering about the quiz we mentioned earlier, here's your answer. The two largest Nescafé regional farms in the world are in Brazil and Vietnam. Together, they supply an enormous share of the beans that go into your daily cup. It's a reminder of how global this beverage truly is, connecting continents and cultures in every sip. Imagine waking up to the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee, that rich scent filling your kitchen before you even take the first sip. Now picture that same feeling, but instead of waiting for the brewing process, you simply stir a spoonful of instant coffee into hot water and, just like that, you have a steaming cup of energy ready to start your day. Most of us have enjoyed instant coffee at some point, but very few actually know the fascinating journey that transforms coffee beans growing on farms thousands of miles away into those tiny crystals or fine powder sitting in your pantry. The process is not only a feat of food science but also a story of sustainability, global trade, and innovation. So, how exactly does a coffee cherry picked in Brazil or Vietnam become the instant coffee you pour into your favorite mug? Let's take a deep dive into the hidden world of instant coffee production. The story begins with the humble coffee bean, but before it even reaches a factory, coffee farmers around the world dedicate months of labor to nurturing their crops. The two largest suppliers for brands like Nescafé are Vietnam and Brazil. These two coffee giants produce around 60% of the beans used for instant coffee. Brazil is famous for its vast plantations and decades of experience in cultivating high-quality Arabica beans, while Vietnam has become the global leader in Robusta production, prized for its strong flavor and higher caffeine content. Together, these countries form the backbone of the instant coffee industry, ensuring a steady supply of beans that meet strict quality standards. After harvesting, the beans are processed, dried, and shipped to factories where the transformation into instant coffee begins. Once the beans arrive at the factory, they are roasted under carefully controlled conditions. Just like brewing coffee at home, roasting is all about striking the perfect balance between time and temperature. Too short, and the flavor remains underdeveloped. Too long, and the beans become bitter and burnt. Industrial roasting ensures consistency, delivering that familiar Nescafé taste no matter where in the world you open a jar. After roasting, the beans are ground into fine particles, ready for the next major step: extraction. Extraction, in simple terms, is brewing coffee on a massive scale. Instead of a small coffee pot or French press, factories use towering stainless steel extractors capable of brewing thousands of gallons at a time. Hot water is forced through the ground beans under strict temperature and pressure controls. The goal is to pull out all the soluble compounds, the oils, acids, and natural flavors that give coffee its characteristic taste and aroma. The result of this large-scale brewing is a concentrated coffee liquid, not too different from what you'd get at home but far stronger and richer. This concentrated brew is the foundation for every jar, sachet, or canister of instant coffee sold worldwide. Now comes one of the most crucial steps: drying the concentrated coffee. There are two main methods, each with its own advantages. The first is spray drying, a technique widely used for its efficiency and scalability. In this process, the hot coffee liquid is sprayed into a large chamber filled with streams of hot air. As the droplets fall, the water evaporates almost instantly, leaving behind tiny particles of coffee powder. These fine particles are collected, cooled, and sifted to create a uniform product that dissolves easily in hot water. Spray drying is fast, cost-effective, and ideal for producing the huge quantities of instant coffee demanded around the globe. But spray drying is not the only method. For more premium varieties, companies often turn to freeze drying, a slower but more flavor-preserving process. In freeze drying, the concentrated coffee is first chilled to extremely low temperatures until it becomes a frozen block. This block is then broken into smaller granules and placed under a vacuum. Instead of melting, the ice within the frozen coffee sublimates, meaning it turns directly from solid to gas, leaving behind dry, porous crystals of coffee. Because this method avoids exposing the coffee to high heat, it does a better job of preserving delicate aromas and flavors. This is why freeze-dried instant coffee often has a more freshly brewed taste compared to spray-dried powder. Consumers who prefer richer, more aromatic cups often seek out these freeze-dried versions, and brands proudly market them as a higher-end option. After drying, the coffee moves to the packaging stage, another critical factor in ensuring freshness. Coffee is highly sensitive to oxygen, light, and moisture, all of which can dull its flavor over time. To protect the coffee, companies like Nescafé use airtight jars, sachets, and canisters, often with nitrogen flushing to remove any residual oxygen inside the container. This careful packaging ensures that when you open a jar months later, you're greeted with the same strong aroma and taste as the day it was sealed. Packaging also reflects consumer preferences. Some people love the convenience of single-serve sachets, while others prefer large jars to keep in the pantry. Either way, the packaging is designed not only for practicality but also to preserve every bit of the coffee's quality. Beyond the production process, there's a much larger story unfolding in the coffee industry: sustainability. Coffee farming is deeply tied to environmental conditions, and climate change poses a significant challenge to its future. Rising temperatures, unpredictable rainfall, and pests are threatening coffee-growing regions around the world. Recognizing this, Nestlé, the parent company of Nescafé, has committed to ambitious climate goals, including reaching net zero emissions. Their approach involves three main strategies: transforming products to meet changing consumer trends, scaling up agricultural initiatives that absorb carbon, and shifting entirely to renewable electricity in their operations. This isn't just about corporate responsibility, it's about ensuring that future generations can continue to enjoy high-quality coffee without compromising the planet. Consider the ripple effect of these efforts. By working directly with farmers in Brazil, Vietnam, and other regions, Nestlé is helping to introduce more resilient coffee varieties, smarter irrigation techniques, and practices that restore soil health. These measures don't just help reduce emissions, they also empower local farmers to maintain steady livelihoods in the face of global challenges. For consumers, this means every spoonful of instant coffee carries a story of resilience and sustainability, a reminder that even a small daily ritual can connect us to larger global issues. Instant coffee, once considered a convenience product, has now become a global staple. From college students pulling all-nighters to professionals needing a quick boost before a meeting, it fits seamlessly into modern life. Its evolution from a quick fix to a respected part of coffee culture reflects how far the technology has come. Today's instant coffee is a far cry from the bitter, lackluster versions of decades past. With freeze-drying, better bean sourcing, and sustainable practices, brands like Nescafé have elevated it into a product that satisfies both convenience and taste. The next time you stir a spoonful of instant coffee into hot water, think about the journey it has taken. From coffee trees swaying in the sun of Vietnam and Brazil, to massive industrial extractors, through delicate drying methods, and finally into a neatly sealed jar on your kitchen shelf. It's a story that spans continents, involves thousands of people, and showcases the blend of tradition and modern innovation. Coffee may be one of the world's most beloved beverages, but instant coffee represents something uniquely modern: the ability to capture flavor, aroma, and energy in a form that's fast, practical, and accessible to everyone. And here's a fun fact for you to impress your friends the next time coffee comes up in conversation. Vietnam and Brazil are the two largest producers for Nescafé's global operations, together accounting for around 60% of the company's total coffee output. That means chances are, the instant coffee in your cup has roots in one of these two nations. It's an incredible example of how interconnected our world has become. Your morning cup is truly global. So, whether you're savoring a slow morning at home or rushing to get out the door, your instant coffee is more than just a caffeine kick. It's the product of science, dedication, and a worldwide network of farmers and workers who make sure you never have to go without your favorite drink. The next time you enjoy that familiar aroma rising from your mug, remember, inside that simple cup is a story of innovation, sustainability, and a global love affair with coffee that shows no signs of slowing down. And if you're curious about more behind-the-scenes processes of the foods and drinks you love, make sure to stick around. There's always another fascinating journey waiting to be told.